Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Remedith, or Rem, R-E-M, like the sleep cycle, and I am a writer of horror, fantasy, and sci-fi. I wanted to talk about the goals that I have for this coming year and how I wanted to approach them. I happened to find a video by a YouTuber by the name of Rowen Tsai where she discussed systems versus goals, and I realized that the book she was talking about, where a lot of her source material came from, was one that I have. I'd started reading it last year but hadn't gotten the chance to finish it. I'll leave a link in a description for both her channel and the book, but her videos are mostly geared around lifestyle, so if this is something that you're interested in, be sure to check her out. Systems are, simply put, habits that allow you to make progress towards goals. James Clear talks about this in his book Atomic Habits. He states that goals are good for planning your progress, while systems are good for making actual progress. With that in mind, I wanted to create systems that would help me achieve the goals that I set for this year. Goals start big picture but move smaller picture, and that's where I wanted to start working from in order to create these systems to make sure I achieve the big picture goals. A major goal, but not a primary goal for this year, was to focus on the growth of this channel. The channel was originally started with my interests in mind, and I wanted to continue with that vein of thought into the new year. It already has been since I'd started, where I posted reactions at first, and then I started making Authortube videos. I want to continue with both reactions and Authortube videos, but also providing content geared around the other things that I like. This would include movies that I watched this year, TV series that I finish or happen to rewatch and go back into and find things that I enjoyed from it or didn't enjoy and why I did or did not enjoy them. I wanted to also try to do a couple gaming videos. I'm not the most avid gamer and I'm not the best player in many games, but I did think it'd be fun to, post me miserably failing at them. As you can probably already see, I do like K-pop, and there will be a continuation of the reaction videos as well as other topics that are related to it, like rankings or my collection as it is. And while content is great, I also need to consider the kind of schedule I want to put out there and how consistent I need to be with the schedule. That's the only way that growth can actually occur, if there is a consistency with the content that I put out. There has to be an addressing of the quality and the timeliness of what I put out to you, the viewers. There are a lot of factors that affect how and when I post, and I need to address these as I go out into the new year. One of the scheduling options that I had considered was doing Mondays and or Fridays, giving me the option to post on one day or the other or both, potentially posting 1 to 2 videos. 1 video would be great, 2 videos awesome, but it'll really be up to how the week goes and how I'm feeling as time progresses, and that'll help with establishing a more consistent routine. The main habit of the system that I want to use going into the new year for this consistent scheduling is to be better about finding days or points in my schedule where I have a solid block of time that I can write down in my calendar to set specifically for filming. Even if I don't manage to film in that time that I've set aside, I think it'll be good for putting me into a mindset to think about what I want to do with that time block. The next goal that I want to discuss is my writing. Obviously, I am a writer. This is why I have started my Authortube videos. Over the course of next year, I want to complete at least 1 draft of a full-length novel and publish a short story anthology. This seems a little low ball, but I wanted to have something small to start with. Baby steps for me. I also wanted to try my hand at script writing because I felt that trying different formats of storytelling would help me improve individual skills such as dialogue and pacing. Those are some of my biggest problems. Dialogue specifically. I hate dialogue. I hate dialogue. A third part to this is a goal that I kind of had in mind a while back while I was still very active on the site, but I wanted to rebuild my readership over on Wattpad. You're probably aware of Wattpad in some capacity, or you're more aware of the fan fiction side of it. I will not be writing fanfiction on Wattpad. Over 2 years ago, I was very active as a writer for my original fiction, and I wanted to return to those things because I essentially abandoned all the projects that were there. I hit a block, and I found that it was harder for me to get back to the stories that I wanted to write. So I took a break and moved over to fan fiction, mostly to improve skills afterwards, and then I just kind of dropped off of original fiction until last year. It kind of made me feel uneasy to know that all these projects that I had so much enthusiasm for are kind of just sitting there on the site collecting dust unless someone happens to dig it up. As of December of last year, 2020, I found that I still had a large portion of the readership that I had, but they'd either clearly forgotten to unfollow me, or they just were accounts that had also been abandoned for whatever reason. So I wanted to return to those works and at least finish them off, if not polish them later on to be published or self-published elsewhere. I may also try for the Wattpad partner program, which was pretty big before I left the site. While it was still active there, I know they did a lot of deals and partnerships with publishing companies. This was, I think, how After and the subsequent sequel After We Collided was published and then turned into a movie. I think it'll be a good goal to have, mostly so it's not just me focusing on numbers. It'll be a way for me to focus on finishing the story and being like, I would like to submit something to this program and meet the requirements it has. The system involved for this particular goal will be mostly me trying to use my time, to block out my time better, and also to find a way to not focus on one concept or one idea that I've had. I happen to have a very bad habit of hyperfixating on one idea, and once I've gotten it written down, it's the only, like, I stop thinking about it and suddenly there's a shiny new idea and I'll hop to that one. I want to do better about me keeping focus on the projects that I have set aside. And if I happen to have a new idea, I want to also get into the habit of writing down that idea and storing it away for later. Maybe returning to it once or twice to put in smaller thoughts or concepts that I had in mind for it, and just to let it ferment. This will enable me to not fall into the trap of the shiny new idea. My next goal for this year is to read more. I feel like that's a given. Consider I'm a writer, and I know a lot of people give you the advice you have to read as much as you write. I do believe that is an important part of being a writer, that you read what others have put out, because we do not exist in a vacuum. Sometimes a concept may have already been done, and it doesn't mean that you can't do it again. It just means that you can now approach it differently, and it's not just the same photocopied thing over and over again. But I wanted to try to read between 20 to 30 books this year, which is, again, another low ball, but this isn't including books that are part of my school, like, course curriculum. I could include those, but I feel like I would hit reading burnout really fast, just based on whatever it is that I have to read, because usually when there's academic pressure applied to me having to read a book, I lose interest in it and I no longer want to read it. So me being like, oh, I'm gonna include this in my monthly reading count, or my yearly reading count, I'm probably not even gonna be able to finish it if I'm thinking about it in that way. I thought about including manga and manhwa as well as webtoons, but a lot of what I would be doing this year is rereading the manga that I've already read, and maybe waiting to binge on a couple others. Webtoons were harder to put into consideration because the way that they're structured is they're put out on a weekly basis, and their episodes or seasons only end based on how the artist wants it to go. So I don't know the end. There's no finite end for this year for a lot of what I've already been reading, and I think it just wouldn't work out in the long run. This goal also somewhat falls in line with my first mentioned goal of growing this channel and cultivating it towards my interests. While I might not include manga and webtoons in my reading count, I will be discussing the ones that I have read or reread over the course of this year and enjoyed. I will try to share my reading progress monthly, and if not monthly, biannually, just so I have a means of being held accountable for how much I had wanted to read over the course of the year. The last goal I have is in regards to lifestyle changes, and this will not be very obvious on the channel, but I did want to mention it in case others had a lifestyle goal they wanted to share. But I wanted to get better at budgeting and saving, as well as my time management in general, because I'm fairly abysmal at that, as well as my mental health and self-awareness. As a reflection, these systems I'm trying pertain a lot to time management and timing in general. I think I fall into a category of people who procrastinate and waste as much time as possible until like the last minute when something is due. And that's honestly a terrible habit to have. It got me through high school, but it's not something that I want to continue to carry around with me for the rest of my life. I feel like if I overcome this habit and just get rid of it entirely, I'll be able to do a lot more and I will see more success. So that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. That is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to share some of your goals and resolutions for the new year down in the comment section below, along with any suggestions for content you would like to see me put out or think I would enjoy. Please don't hesitate to like and share this video, as it helps the channel grow. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. Videos will be updated weekly. I hope this video has motivated you to consider your habits and the systems you want to create in order to achieve your goals, and I hope this year treats you well.